So now you're frustrated. Now you're aggravated because I tried to have a conversation with you and you didn't hear anything I said, whether it was the beginning of the conversation, the end, or the middle of the conversation. So you piece together what you thought I said, and then you try to answer me based on that. You already know that's a setup for failure, for misunderstandings, and for arguments. So before you draw any conclusions, are there any issues with your hearing? Because sometimes you could have a hearing impairment and have not shared that.
Right, right.
Or have hearing loss and not be aware of the fact that you had hearing loss. So you're hearing every other word or every 2 words, or you're not hearing anything at all. And you're just nodding. They could be saying, I'm going to push you off the stool. You'll be just steady nodding your head because you didn't hear a thing they said. They could be saying, I can't stand you. All you heard was stand. So you want me to stand up?
Wow.
So it happens and we don't realize that it happens. Because we don't want to accept the fact that we have changes that's going on in our body. We don't share, we don't talk about it. We're talking about what you say is not always what I hear on tonight. So if your mate asks, didn't you hear me? Again, there could be an underlying issue. Like, I thought I heard what you said. And how many times have I talked about that? How many times have I said, I know I said that. Well, I don't remember hearing you say that. Whether it's on the job, whether it's in the business, whether it's friendship, relationships, marriage, ministry. You know what? I know I told you that. Well, I don't remember hearing you say that.
Wow.
Forgetfulness or brain fog. Those things do occur. And sometimes we don't want to admit that that's what's going on. So then we have another issue all by itself. So I ask again, are there any unresolved issues or conflicts between you or your significant other? Because if there is, you're going to block what it is that they're trying to say to you. You're not going to hear nothing they say. You know why? Because you've already blocked out the whole conversation. You've already blocked out everything they said. Because I'm mad at you. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. And nothing you say is going to make sense to me because I'm upset.
But at the same time, too, Pastor, though, two wrong doesn't make a right.
Right?
And when we don't pay attention to one another, we're allowing the enemy to come in and support the attitudes that we're having towards one another.
That's true.
And what I mean by that, there's no support system. And when there's no support system between a husband and a wife or a friendship, we always got issues of how we value the individual. And it shows by how you are listening to the individual.
Okay.
Because when we listen to someone and we pay closer attention, we're saying that that individual is important to us and what they're saying is very valuable. So whenever we have issues, when an argument or something happens, one of us has to be the smart one out of the situation.
That's true.
So by you shutting down the same way the other one shut down, that's how the devil gets in.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an example. They may not be able to see it, but you keep talking, and I'm going to go across the room and try to say something and see if you hear me. You keep talking. You keep talking like you're having a conversation with me.
Okay. All right. So I was saying that you have to be in a position, and you got to understand that when this takes place in our lives, we got to make sure that we value one another.
I can't hardly hear what you're saying. Say it again.
How often do you value one another? Do their opinion really count? Do their thought process really count? Do you really even care what they're saying?
I think the
at
TV
that
got
moment
too
of
loud.
saying?
I can't hear nothing you're saying. Can you hear me?
So we got to understand that. We got to value one another in that area. How well do you value your spouse? Determine how well you listen to them. Whether it's this argument, whether it's that argument, we still have to value one another. We have to be able to put our differences aside and be the adult in the situation. Only kids go backwards and forth and argue between one another. As an adult, the Bible said, when I was a child, I played with childish things, but as I got grown, I put those childish things away. Have you really put those childish things away? Or are we still carrying on those childish things, those childish issues?
So did you hear anything I said when I was across the room?
No.
So here I am trying to have a conversation with you. I could have been trying to cook. I could have been trying to straighten my hair, comb my hair, whatever situation it is. But I just tried to have a conversation with you across the room. You were having a conversation. You didn't hear me and I didn't hear you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it happens when we are in heated fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it happens when we've shut one another down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mad at you, you're mad at me. We have unresolved issues. You're having one conversation and I'm having another conversation. Your situation is not resolved and neither is mine.
Make the matter worse.
It makes the matter worse. Perfect example. I know you all were not in the same room with us, but what I did was left the room, tried to have a conversation with him. He was trying to have a conversation with me. I didn't hear him. He didn't hear me, and we were on two different levels, talking about two different things. And that's how it happens when we have unresolved issues or heated fellowships in our relationships, and we try to communicate with one another. And the enemy knows that.
And neither one is willing to back down.
Neither one is willing to back down.
Like
That's
two
it.
rock wild.
That's it. That's it. I had a scripture that I shared in this book, We Can Make It Work, Volume 2, from Ecclesiastes 10 and 20, the NIV version. And it says, do not revile the king, even in your thoughts, or curse the rich in your bedroom, because a bird in the sky may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may repeat what you said. We could be in the other room, upset, saying some things that we know we had no business saying, criticizing the one we say we love because we're upset at that point. But the scripture says that because a bird in the sky may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may repeat what you said. So we don't think they could hear. We don't think anyone noticed. We don't think there's nothing that could carry that word that we spoke from one room to the other room. But according to the scripture, it says, do not revile the king even in your thoughts. Some of the thoughts that we have about one another when we're upset can be detrimental to our relationship. Because if I think that you're no good, if I think that you're unsaved, if I think that you're not a good provider, if I think that you're not a good father, if I think all of these things, you're not a good lover, you're not a great lover, if I think all of these things in my mind, then I've already counted against our relationship. If I feel like that person is inadequate, or not able to satisfy, not able to fulfill, I've already shortchanged them. I've already taken the responsibility from God that God can't do it, that he can't change them, that he can't bring them to where they need to be to glorify him. I've already cut their hands off, cut off their support. Talking about tonight, what you say is not always what I hear.
Wow.
And I know we have some opinions, 813-450-2902. If you're not able to call in or you're embarrassed to call in, just type it in the comments. 813-450-2902. What you say is not always what I hear.
That's it.
And if you're yelling and screaming, I don't hear anything you're saying anyway. Especially as moms, we've learned how to tune our kids out. The kids are going, mama, 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 mama. We don't even hear that. After they've said it the second time, we've already shut down. So if you're yelling and screaming, we don't hear none of that. We don't hear nothing that you're saying. And after you get through yelling and screaming, throwing things, talking trash, then you ask, did you hear me? After you started that first part of the conversation, I already shut down.
Wow.
I don't hear nothing else. So we know how to block it out.
Wow.
813-450-2902. I know we got some comments. I know we got some things to say about that, because we know we're not the only one that's dealing with it. Anytime he allows us to go into an area, we already know somebody else is dealing with it. What you say is not always what I hear.
And how do you respond to that? How do you handle that? Come on, let us know what's on your mind on tonight.
That's it.
Let us break the cycle of how we deal with one another on a daily basis of communication. Do we have communication packed down?
That's it.
Do we communicate the way that we should be communicating with one another?
With one another.
How often do we communicate? 'Cause a lot of times we just talk at one another, and we don't truly communicate with one another. There's this between talking and communicating. So are you talking at your spouse, or are you communicating with your